Hey guys, it's Eric and Karina.
And HR.
And this is Eric.
And welcome back to the Late Podcast. The law according to Eric. All right, well, welcome back, guys. And today I'm going to let Eric introduce the rest of this.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The first Happy New Year to everyone. And as all of you know, this podcast for me is a labor of love. We try to record twice a week when we can, schedule-wise. You know, we have a lot of active cases going, a lot of clients, a lot of issues. You know, everybody's got a fire to put out. But as much as I love putting out our own podcasting content, I also consume content and other podcasters on a variety of topics. Mm-hmm. But one, of course, which is close to my heart, is anything that's kind of related to the law.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy out there. His name is Ian Bick. Mm-hmm. And he kind of like rode the big dick energy thing. So he's like big Bick energy,
right?
You know, and it's great. But he's a cat. He's a young guy, I think 19 or 20, and he got sentenced to federal prison. If I'm not mistaken, it was some kind of fraud. It was a financial crime.
Okay.
I think he was getting investors for nightclubs, and rather than actually putting the money into the nightclubs, he was sort of, kind of living his best life. Otherwise, cut a deal, went in there, and if you Google image him, you'll see what I mean. When he went in, he soaking wet. He was probably a $105, big thick glasses. Yeah. I'm just telling you. Look, from what I know, and the clients I've represented, he could not have had it easy. Right out of the gate. He had good paperwork, and we'll talk about what that means later. But the whole point is that he made it through, and he now has other people come on his show that have also made it through and served their time and are really kind of having redeemed themselves and found a new and better way. And so I was listening, and this one guest that he had on really spoke to me. Right? His name is Sean Gunby, and I was especially intrigued with Sean's story because his background is not terribly dissimilar. He's well educated. He's got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. So, and this is important. So first and foremost, he has his bachelor's degree and he has a master's degree. He parlayed that. He went into real estate, got his broker's license. But then he was also arrested. It was kind of a sting operation. I'm going to let him get into all that about preparing fraudulent tax returns. And in an odd way, and this is, to be frank, this is sort of what attracted me to this story, is this was really in a lot of ways a modern sort of Robin Hood. Right? Well, look, everybody gets paid for their work, okay? Don't get me wrong. Right. But at the same time, if I achieve an incredibly better result for a client than I thought, right? And I feel like I'm doing good. So like everybody knows, I practice mostly bankruptcy law. Right. So a lot of our clients need that fresh start. It's a financial fresh start, right? But they need that. And so if they're facing really difficult creditors or somebody claimed that they induced them into like a fraudulent investment and we're trying to get them out of it, right? It makes me feel really good. So I listened to this story and that's kind of what I equated it to. To me, this was sincerely like a modern Robin Hood. Right. In that he was helping his clients achieve benefits that maybe they shouldn't have, but really he was putting money back into his own community and the people he was working with, even though the means may not have been, or may have been somewhat illicit. So, so I reached out and I asked Sean if he would, humble us with his presence on our little home office podcast. And he agreed, and by the way, I would just say this now, every step of this this whole thing took maybe a total of 18 minutes combined. Yeah. Ultimate in professionalism. Return phone calls, quick to respond. Yes. Very, very on top of everything. No excuse. Amazing. Yes. I wish everybody in business treated anything like he does. Yes. Incredible. We could all learn from this. Yes. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Sean Gunby on. Sean, welcome to the Late Podcast.
Eric, what's up, man?
All right, how you doing, fellow Newark man, fellow Jersey?
I'm doing good, man. And first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me on your show, man, and following my Instagram page, which is the Podcast with Soul, and my YouTube page, the Podcast with Soul, and Karina and the other young lady. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you with
Yes.
us, Sean.
That
Thank
literally,
you for coming on for us,
so you'll hear soon. So Karina, we could refer to her as Hurricane Karina because she can get savage at times.
Hurricane Karina.
That's it. And Jennifer, and Jennifer's HR because she's the only one that keeps me in check when I start to
Keeps all of us in check,
yeah. So it's a good balance of what we got here.
Shout out to Jennifer.
All right, thank you. I'm the mama bear.
All right. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, your upbringing in New Jersey and how you got into, where you went to school and kind of how you ended up in the financial world. Let's kind of start at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised, born in the city of Passaic, New Jersey, which is northern New Jersey, raised in the city of Clifton, New Jersey, single mother, foundational Black American woman from the South, from the state of Georgia. Grew up as a single, as an only child with a single mother, good values. She taught me right and wrong. She taught me to always do the right thing. I always had a Christmas. I always had a birthday. I got a new bike every Christmas. There was food in the refrigerator. We lived in a middle class town. I didn't want for anything. Started smoking weed the 6th grade summer going into the 7th grade. Prior to that, I was very athletic. I was a baseball player, football, basketball. I played all sports. Started smoking weed in the 7th grade, and it just changed my whole dynamic of who I was, my enthusiasm for life, my motivation, my grades, my behavior. And, it just kind of took away all the potential that I had. Was able to graduate high school, enrolled into college in Atlanta, Georgia, Morris Brown College in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a historically Black college in Atlanta, Georgia. And at that time in the 80s, this is 1987. I'm born in 1969. I'm 55 years old. In the 1980s, Morris Brown College graduated more Black certified public accountants than any other school in the country. And I was in the accounting program and one of the top students, but my drug addiction and my alcoholism progressed. And I ended up dropping out of school, dropping out of college, and going to drug treatment, drug rehab, 28-day program, got clean. And I've been clean ever since then. My clean date is October 16th, 1990. I've been clean 34 years. I don't drink, I don't get high. And then I went back to school, as you mentioned in the intro, got involved in the corporate world, went back to school, got my master's degree, my MS in financial management, graduated from NJIT in Newark, cum laude with honors, and got involved in the corporate world and ended up leaving in 99 and started my own business. And that was it, man. And here I am. And then I guess we're going to get into the criminal joint. I guess you're going to be talking over that.
So, all right. So walk us through it. So you start tax preparation service, which by the way, at that time, right, we're talking about like in the 90s, I'm guessing, right? 2000.
1999, 2000 was my first season.
So this is, there had already been like the H&R Blocks and, these places where you could just kind of walk in. This is before, like, you could just buy it. Like back in the day, like TurboTax wasn't even like you had to buy a disc, a CD, right? Yeah, and you like, right? Yeah, CD-ROM, exactly. So this is all before that. So tax preparation services, especially to communities with a lot of blue collar W-2 employees, was an absolute community necessity.
Right.
So because everybody has to file a tax return. If you miss a year or two, you can get in a lot of trouble. And
if you mess up anything,
IRS is not always forgiving. So, all right. So walk us through. So you start off this tax preparation service, right? And you're in your community, right? And go. All right, so take us from there.
So, when I left my corporate job, I was doing business brokerage. I was trying to help businesses, liquor stores and gas stations and convenience stores sell themselves Dunkin' Donuts and real estate companies. And the shit just didn't work, man. So my mother, she says, well, why don't you do taxes? Why don't you do taxes? You got an accounting degree. So I'm like, man, I don't want to do no taxes, man. I don't know. It seemed like it was because in the corporate world, Eric, I'm doing mergers and acquisitions, right? I'm doing $1 million deals. And, I'm thinking on a high level, I don't want to do no fucking tax returns for fucking $150. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
So,
sure everyone's mom has told them something like really practical that they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
yeah. So I broke down. I got so broke, I had no money. I had to do it. So I started doing returns in 2000. I think the first year I did 19 returns, man. And this is basically more so just the straightforward standard deduction, earned income credit, like you said, mostly lower income Black, lower income white, lower income Latino, single mother with a kid. You put the child on, you get the earned income credit, the child care credit, and they get refunds $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, and then they have no problem giving you $250 for a return. And that's how I started, man. And eventually it grew. My name got out, and I began to do more complex returns with Schedule A's and Schedule E's and Schedule C's and businesses and real estate and that kind of thing.
Did you end up enjoying it?
That's Karina.
Yes.
Yeah, Karina. I don't know if I enjoyed it. I just did it for the money.
Okay.
I
Just wanted to see if your mom would have been like, I told you you'd enjoy it in the end or something.
No, I didn't enjoy it, and especially, what's crazy? When I got big at the end, when I was doing like $300,000 a tax season, $200,000 in the month of February, I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Because I would be sitting in my office, man, and my heart would be the stress of the job, the 300 phone calls, the 26 faxes, the 30 appointments, the 7 walk-ins, January, it was crazy. And I'm doing 19-hour days, 20-hour days. I really hated it, man, toward the end, even though I was making a lot of money.
So walk us through. So I remember briefly, it was a terrible blizzard out. There was a crazy storm. No, I'm serious. It's something out of a novel, right? But I mean, I cannot tell the story better than Sean, but just for context, right? So imagine some of the worst New Jersey winters, the blizzards, nobody, schools shut down, right? Maybe,
yes, indeed.
Right. You'll get like a local market will stay open for like emergency necessities.
Right.
There was no deliveries, no bike messengers. Like that was it. Right.
Right.
So
no
it's a day like that.
Transit, no public bus, no nothing.
Right.
Right.
Right. So now picture that's the day. Right.
Wait, before we move into that, then I had one more question for you. So at the height of your success, when you were doing great, how you were saying it, what do you think was the factor that contributed most to you actually getting there? From you said you started year one, you were like 19 only. It was only 19 people you were doing the returns for. What do you think contributed most to that?
Great question.
Drive?
Yeah.
What was it?
Great question, Karina. Customer service, man. You know what I'm saying? Like Eric just talked about, when it comes to business, man, and your word, I was great customer service, with the client. I was available to the client. They can call me year round with any questions. I did that, I gave them copies. I'm an accounting, I'm an accountant. So everything I'm pretty straightforward. And then, I do good work. I did good work.
Right. Okay. And then now transitioning into there, did you have any warning signs that the legal issues were coming before it hit?
Well, there's a whole story to that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
Okay, we can save it to when that part's up there.
Yeah. So, all right. So take us through. So at some point, it's likely that word gets out, right? There's an investigation that gets opened up.
Okay,
and almost always the principal or the target of the investigation is unaware.
Right.
Sometimes they know they may have some people on, like you're talking about like big time guys. They've got people that communicate with them for a fee.
Right.
So, I'm trying to be professional about it. Basic guys on the take, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So, but often if you're the target of a federal investigation, you have no idea.
Right.
And federal investigations are notoriously slow.
Yes.
They can go on for 3-4 years before they finally present some kind of indictment, whatever.
Right.
Right. So So that's why I was saying that's a really good question. Like, were there any external warnings? Like in retrospect, like, oh, I should have thought about that. So let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about that cold winter day and how this all kind of changed, right?
Eric, man, I didn't know the only warning signs I had, man, was when the greed set in and I started to lose my ethical and moral compass. When the greed set in and I started doing shit on people's returns, and then that inner thermometer inside of me would say, like, Sean, this ain't right what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? But the money was just piling up, and then I would quickly just be like, yeah, but I'm getting money though. Yeah. But as far as any warnings from a human being saying like, yo, Sean, they on to you with this and that, none of that. But in retrospect, after I got busted, because you can always connect the dots looking back with Steve Jobs. I got that from Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
When I had a chance to sit down, I looked, I said, damn, that motherfucker, that was her, him, but it's only after the fact. But when you don't know. You don't know that they watching you. And they were even sending in, the undercover agents were coming in, getting their returns done.
Well, that's where I want to get to, because I think that it's not the most uncommon thing to have a sort of a sense of euphoria, right? When things are going well and you're sort of building this up, and you're right, you don't see any of these warning signs. And the feds are really good at staying under the radar. They really go out of their way to make sure you're not onto the fact that you're being looked at. But nonetheless, you often have blinders on. I mean, I've met lots of people and clients that, whether it's criminal or just, money-making activities where they know what they're doing isn't exactly right, but, it's hard to kind of walk away from that. Then they take on obligations that they have to maintain, right, on this ongoing basis. So, all right, so that leads us up to this cold winter day, right? So let me just set this up. Imagine a day where the weather is so bad, every single appointment cancels. Yep. Every single one except one. Right. So Sean, tell us about the one who's getting right. How's this happening?
Eric, Eric, this is my birthday, man.
That's right.
No.
That's right. That's right.
This my birthday, man. So I probably had something set up with a little honey, man. I'm trying to get up out of there. It's my birthday, or I'm going to, some honey is taking me out or something. So everybody canceled. So I'm like, bet. So, except the girl called. She called. She said, Sean, you still there? I said, yeah. She says, can I still come? I says, yeah, come on. And she came, right? And she was the agent, black girl. And she came upstairs. Oh, did I call her? Whichever way it went. I might have called her because everybody was canceling. I might have called her and said, look, you still coming? She must say, yeah, I'm still coming. So she comes upstairs and she comes in, and it's about 1.5 feet of snow outside. Eric, she takes her coat and shit off. She sets it on my chair, my couch. I had a couch, and she makes herself comfortable. And then she says, do you have a bathroom? And then I said, yeah, it's down the hall, make a right. So she leaves out, and then she's gone for a couple minutes. She comes back, gives me a W-2, and she's looking around. I got pictures in my office of when I went to Africa, when I went to Egypt, when I went to Brazil. And then I think did I have my degree on the wall? I think I had my degree on the wall where I went to Morris Brown. And she says, you went to Morris Brown? I said, yeah. She said, I went to Johnson C. Smith, which is another historically black college.
Yeah, sister college.
And I said, yeah. We used to play y'all. We used to play. And she said, yeah. So when obviously she's a black girl, then she said she went to a historically black college. So now my guards is all the way down, right?
Right.
And she gave me the W-2, and I'm asking her questions, which is typically what I did for all my clients. to see if there's ways I can sharpen the pencil on their return and boost up their refund. Mm-hmm. She answered no to every question. Like, she didn't entrap me and say, yeah, I did this, I did that. Anything I asked her, she said no. Right. But I went ahead and did things for her on her return anyway, without her knowledge, to give her a fatter refund. And she got up, she left. You know, she asked me about my trips. She asked me about my trip. She says, do you feel when you go to Africa and you meet these poor people, does that make you feel better than them? Like, she asked me some shit like that, right? And I'm like, nah. Right. I'm like, nah, I just go, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, as a foundational Black American, I want to go back to Africa to see what it looks like. That's my motivation. And I study a lot of shit in Egypt. That's why I went. But she took it a whole nother way, man. And I thought that was kind of odd. But then I didn't think none of it. She left. And that was it, man.
And you had no gut feeling, no intuition, nothing that something was weird about that.
Nothing, Karina.
So I can tell you, let me tell you, as an attorney, dealing mostly, almost always in federal court, and I've seen this a lot, that was absolutely not an accident. That agent was handpicked.
Right, yeah.
It was intentionally, as a woman of color.
Yeah.
She was very charming.
Yes.
And she was prepped.
Yes, to know what school.
What college to say, the whole bit.
Yes.
And that's how these
Ain't no question. Absolutely.
Lower your guard to get you talking, to get you comfortable.
Yes.
Oh, don't worry, girl, I can do this.
Exactly.
Right, we'll take care of that. Yeah, exactly like that. All right. So she doesn't entrap, which is also another sign, because lay people don't know that they're entrapping. Like, they don't understand that term. So when you say to someone, look, did you, for example, hint, did you like spend money on school? Oh yeah, well that, you know, because you can write that off, right? Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. And when someone's like, no, like that's, but again, in the moment, you're like, all right, well, she just doesn't realize it. Okay. Right. So, all right. Okay. So she packs up. Thank you very much. Shakes her hand, do my return. She walks out of the office. Right. Then what?
Then I dip. I go, I guess if I went out, because it was my birthday, if I went out to eat, or if I went and got with a honey, or if I just went straight home, that was it. That was March 11th. So 33 days later, on April 14th, 2 days before the season ended, 2011, I'm pulling into my parking lot. I didn't sleep at all that night, man. You know, I tossed and turned, which probably means, like, I'm very spiritual, that they was sitting outside my crib all night because they knew they was gonna do the search warrant the next morning. So they just squatting outside my crib, just watching my crib and watching my whole move when I leave. So I get up, I get dressed, I go to the office, I pull into the parking lot, and I'm walking to my office, feeling like a champ, and these two big white dudes jump out this Camaro. They didn't jump out like, they get, as soon as I got to them, they both stepped out at the same time, and they approached me. They said, "You Sean Gunby?" I said, "Yeah." And he had a rolled up piece of paper like this.
Yeah, it's a warrant.
He said, "This is a search warrant, and we coming upstairs with you."
Oh.
We're from the Internal Revenue Service. And I said, "All right." And we went upstairs, and my life changed forever.
So I'm guessing they probably didn't arrest you on the spot. They probably collected evidence and documents. Does that sound about right? Or did they actually arrest you in there?
They stayed in my office. They stayed in my office about 2 or 3 hours, and then they left me there. Did not arrest me.
Yeah, that's very common.
Right.
They also, and what happens is, just for our audience, God forbid you're ever in this kind of situation, they're going to watch every next move you make right after that.
Right.
Ain't no question.
They want to see, are you going to go empty a bank account?
Right.
Right. Are you going to go see somebody like a silent partner or whatever?
Right.
They do that on purpose to leave you stewing in the fear of the moment, right? So that you'll make more mistakes. And that's where we get, and we'll talk about that later, where they get into like stacking and stuff like that. So, all right. So they say, "Sean, we're out of your hair right now," right? You'll hear from us at some point. And they kind of leave you like, so then what do? You immediately call a lawyer?
So what did I do after that, Eric?
Yeah, so they leave you there basically to wallow, right? And just kind of.
Man, Eric, man, I sat down in my chair and I said, oh shit. I said, Sean, did that shit just happen? Did 23 federal agents just come in this motherfucking office and be in here 2-3 hours and leave? Did that really happen? And my wig was blown back, man. And I didn't know what to do, kid. I did not know what to do. And I looked over at my desk where I would stack all of the returns of my clients that I had completed, that I was waiting for them to come back, to pick up their information. And I had the ability, I was involved with Santa Barbara Bank and Trust in the refund anticipation loan program, where I could print checks in my office to give to the people. And then I would get, the IRS would get the bank would get the refund from them later, but they would charge a fee. They took all these people's checks, man. And I said, oh shit, I gotta call these people and tell these people, my clients, that the feds was just here and took all of their information and their checks. And that was one of the most fearful situations, man, I ever went through in business, man. And I started to do that.
What was going on, right?
Huh?
At that moment, you already knew what was happening. You knew what was going on.
In terms of what?
Like why they were there, why they came. You fully understood at that moment? Or were you still kind of like, maybe this isn't that?
No. I understood, because when they came and they was there for the 2 hours, they sat me down. Two agents sat me down and interviewed me.
Oh, okay.
And they showed me the W-2. They got the W-2 that the black girl brought in and said, you remember this?
Yeah.
They said, you remember this? And I looked at it and I said, oh, snap.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. They said, you got her $1,400 more back than what you were supposed to. They said, do you do this all the time? I said, not all the time, but I do it. They said, about how many of your clients do you do it with? You do it with all your clients? I said, nah, not all. They said about half or the percentage. I said, yeah, probably about that. And so that was when they sat me down, and that one agent, man, he pulled his chair, Karina, and sat right next to me, man. Like the nigga was gonna sit in my lap. It was a white boy, like he was gonna sit in my lap. And I'm like, why is this nigga sitting so close to me? And he was shaking. He was shaking like he was nervous. And I'm like, the fuck is you nervous for? It's 26 of y'all in here. I'm in here by myself. You got the gun on you. But I think I might have been like his first case.
Oh, okay. You had a newbie. He was scared.
I think so. And I said, man, I gotta go take a piss, man. And they said, all right. So I got up, I went to the bathroom. They both came with me and stood right by the urinal.
Yep.
And then I got out, we went back and sat down, we questioned some more. I said, I gotta go piss again. I really did, right? Because I'm scared to death. So I go piss again. They came in there and they watched me again, and then they questioned me and they left. And my life changed forever, man. My shit went downhill. I spiraled into a self-fulfilling, doom-filled prophecy of self-destruction. And my life went down into the dipsy dumpster, man. So I think Karina had asked me, did I know I was in trouble? Yeah, after they left, I said, yo. Oh man, a feeling of dread just came over me, man. Right. I knew I was in trouble. When they took all of my people's stuff, man, and I had to call them people, I said, this shit is crazy.
Right.
So I'm imagining that the reactions from the clients were less than positive, right? Oh my God. And at that point, do you figure that maybe they got to some of these other people, right? It couldn't have been just the one agent. They had to get other corroboration, I'm guessing. or somehow this agent got let onto you?
Well, what I later found out, Eric, man, was they had already, the way the feds get down, they had already went and met with about 20, 25 of my clients.
Right.
Right.
They had already met with them, brought them in and sat them down and said, yo, Sean got you back $1,800 more than you were supposed to in 2010, 2,600 more than what you were supposed to 2009. You're going to go to jail. We're going to take your kids from you. You're going to lose your house. We're going to lock you under the jail. We're going to run over you with scared the shit out of them. Unless you agree to cooperate against Sean, you know, you're going to owe this money back and you're going to prison. And they was like, you know, I didn't tell Sean to do that. I didn't know he was doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know, which was all bullshit because they knew what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had already, so when I started calling people, I remember one dude told me, he was like, Jamaican dude. He said, man, he told me they had went to his house, like before they came to even do my search warrant. And like I say, as time went on, I was able to look back and like you say, Eric, they're very methodical, man. When the Fed, you could beat a state case all day, a city case, but the Feds, when they come to see you, they got it already.
Yeah.
They got everything they need. They just coming to see if you gonna lie.
Yep.
It's actually very, very true. 99% of the indictments are ready. The witness lists are done.
Yeah.
The evidence is gathered.
They don't come out for nothing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, they're not going to.
The people that are going to cooperate against you have been deposed. They've already signed statements. Now they just coming to see, like what you say. We're going to go search this nigga. We're going to see if he's going to go to the airport, where he going to go. We're going to follow him. We're going to watch his accounts. We're going to see if he's going to lie.
Were any of the people who did, I guess, not give you up, but, you know, technically they snitched on that too. Was that a surprise to you? Not giving any names, but were you surprised by some of the people that they picked to speak to? Or like that the people actually spoke out? Were you surprised by that?
Hell yeah, man. Some people's, like I say, you know, I've been clean from drugs and alcohol for 34 years as of now, around this time, which is 10 years ago. This is probably, I'm clean 20-something years, 22 years. And I was pretty active in the Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meeting community in North Jersey. So I was well known and I did a lot of people's taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I helped motherfuckers get clean. I helped them get their kids out of adoption and foster, get them, you know, by helping them get clean. And they went to them and they was willing to shoot me in the head to save themselves, even though I helped change their life and help them get clean and change their life. That broke my heart. That broke my heart, man. And it made me lose faith in the human being, in humanity.
Yeah.
So all right. So that's a really, really interesting then segue. So I'm guessing they hit you with what, like 38 counts or something, like it's probably some ridiculous.
28.
Yeah, 28, right.
Right.
And I'm assuming at that point you're a smart guy and you still probably had some money on you that, you know, so I'm sure you hire counsel, somebody competent. And without, obviously, I don't want you to divulge any secrets, but I'm guessing they sat you down. They said, look, they got pretty much of an airtight case. We need to make the best deal we can. Something along those lines.
I went to see this lawyer in Fort Lee, New Jersey, the same day they left. After they left, I got on the phone. I started Googling attorneys for white collar. This dude in Fort Lee came up. I jumped in my truck, rode over to Fort Lee. He said he wanted 50 grand to handle the case. That's when I knew I had fucked up.
Yep.
That's when I knew I was in some shit, right?
Yeah.
And this is in 2011 now.
Right.
So I was like, all right, man. So I dipped from there. I went back to the office and I was in a daze, man. I was in a daze. And I think I didn't do nothing the rest of the day. I went to sleep or tried to go to sleep, woke up the next day, and I found this other lawyer down in downtown Newark, who was supposedly a super lawyer. And I went down there to meet with him. I called him on the phone. He said his retainer was 25 grand and his rate was $700 an hour. And he had another partner. And whenever I met with them, I would meet with both of them. And his rate was $700 an hour. So my rate would be $1,400 an hour. And if I wanted to hire them. So I went down there to meet with them. I went down there, I think with this suit I got on right here, just like I'm dressed, clean as a motherfucker. And when I walked in and he seen me, he said, "Oh, the retainer's $35,000." Right? So I later thought, I said, "Sean, you should have just went down there with some sneakers and shit and a torn shirt." You know what I'm saying? Because when he saw me, he's, you know what I mean? So I ended up hiring him. I hired both of them. And then they had me. We went, me and him and the other lawyer went to meet with the IRS, and they showed me the videotape of the black girl. She had wore a camera on her coat, and they showed me that videotape, and I knew I was dead.
Sorry. So by the way, when she said, "Hey, I got to use the restroom,"
Yeah.
I'm guessing she turned the wire on, made it hot, tested it, and then came back. The camera.
Well, wasn't the camera on her jacket? He said he took her jacket off.
No, on her. I bet you, or she laid her jacket down in such a position.
Jacket so
but you need audio too,
yeah.
so I'm guessing that's the moment, right? She went to go test.
Yeah.
Make sure, can you hear me? Hear me, okay? And then come back in.
Hit the record button.
Right.
And then radio probably to some dudes outside that was laying in the background in case anything went wrong. Like, yo, I'm finna go in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And once they showed me the video, I knew I was dead. I had to fall on my sword.
Right. So out of 28 counts, you plead to 1.
Right.
So tell us now. So which count did you plead to, and what kind of deal were you given?
I pleaded to 1. I had 28 count indictment of aiding and abetting in the preparation of fraudulent tax returns, and I pleaded it down. They offered me the plea of 1 count of aiding and abetting in the preparation of fraudulent tax returns, and I went ahead and went on with it.
Yeah.
All right. So we fast forward, right? You get, if I'm not mistaken, you got 18 months.
18 months.
You get 18 months. By the way, 18 months federal time means you do 85% minimum of that time.
Right.
That's right.
Best you can hope for is a 15% time reduction in federal. Also,
unless you cooperate.
Right. I was gonna say. Right. And then there's different, and then they can enhance it, right? Because you have levels. And the way federal sentencing goes, and this is also why in this case it was so important to take a deal, because levels would be added based on the amount.
Right.
In this case, right? So the higher the amount of the tax fraud or the alleged tax fraud, the higher the sentencing level would get. And federal judges, just so you know, no matter how sympathetic they may be to you, even if they really are, they have to go by these guidelines.
Right.
And these guidelines are being looked at every year by Congress because at some point, and I'm a firm believer in judges being given a certain degree of discretion, you know, you can't not everything is a cookie cutter situation.
Right.
So you plead to 18 months, and where do you end up? And this is where, by the way, I think it's very important because again, not that this is my expertise, right? But in the few cases I've been involved in or even on a peripheral level, this type of offense and this type of plea, you get what's known as camp.
Right.
It's an affectionate term, but basically it's minimum security. Sometimes it's a furlough program. There's not usually armed guard towers, things like that. But that's not where you ended up, is it?
I got designated to Federal Correctional Institution, Morgantown, FCI Morgantown, West Virginia. There was no fence at Morgantown. They said you needed camp points to get there, but it was an FCI. We had a shoe on the compound and we wore khaki suits. At an FPC, at a federal prison camp, they wear greens. And there's usually only 150 to 200 dudes at a camp.
Right.
So I ended up at Morgantown. I had to fly out there on my own nickel. And I self-surrendered on October the 6th, 2014.
Really quick, so for the audience that don't know the term SHU, SHU, it's segregated housing unit.
Right.
The whole.
Right. That's essentially like for the worst of the worst.
Right. Yeah.
So when a federal prison has a shoe there, you're at the very least, you're mixed in with some pretty rough
Right.
characters.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, mostly because a lot of our audience want to know, like ahead of time, there's certain terms they want to try to understand. So I'm going to ask you what the significance is. I mean, I know, but I'm going to ask you to tell our audience. Tell us what's the significance of paperwork and how does that work? You walk in and usually people immediately you're demanded to show your paperwork to someone. It's a shot caller of some kind, or maybe just a big shot on a tier, whatever it is, or it's a group. Often it's race-based. If I walk in, typical older Caucasian male, I'm going to get somebody from the white guys that are going to want to see my paperwork. And based on what that says is honestly, that's going to basically describe how my entire stay is going to be.
Right.
Right. So, but tell us how it went down in where you were, Sean, and how paperwork matters and what that's all about.
So when I self-surrendered and I got through A&D, and this dude from North Carolina walked me up to my unit, which was Girard unit. Soon as I stepped into the unit, two dudes approached me. They said, "Yo, where you from?" I said, "I'm from Jersey." They said, "Oh, you got to talk to Corey. Corey's from North." So I was like, "All right." So met up with Corey. We rapped a little bit. Now at Morgantown, Eric, Morgantown, there wasn't like a USP, like a Big Sandy or a USP Atlanta or Leavenworth or an Allenwood or a Terry Hutt or even some mediums. When you step on that compound, your paperwork is your driver's license, right? So, and what that means is you can't be a sex offender or a chomo is what they call them, child molester. You cannot be that, and you cannot have cooperated and ratted on anybody. Right. If you do that, certain compounds, you're not going to be able to say that. They're going to tell you, you can't stay on this compound. And then you have to go to the warden and say, "I fear for my life." They put you in the shoe and they ship you to another prison. But when you get to that other prison, you got to go through the same thing. So you just going to have a very unpleasant prison experience. But with Morgantown, they wasn't really sweating people like that. Morgantown, it was a lot of rats there. Morgantown was more like a white collar, senators, mayors, governors, judges, cops, Bloods, Crips, drug dealers, everybody was there. But at Morgantown, everybody's usually short and they're getting ready to go home. So they don't really want any static because they're trying to get the fuck out of there. Even the dudes that started out at them USPs and have worked their point level down to where they're at Morgantown or any other low, they don't really want no problems unless it's like the disrespect just gets way out of hand. Then, then they're ready to go. But let me tell you this, the dudes that ratted, right? And we found out, the other inmates found out or knew that their paperwork was fucked up, they got no respect. They got no respect. And everybody knew it. And you could just see their self-esteem and their self-perception on them. They wore it like a coat. You could see it on their grill that they wasn't right and exact.
When you say get any respect, what exactly do you mean by that? Like, for them to feel
say that again, Karina?
When you're saying they had no respect, what do you mean by that? Like, because you're saying you can see it in their face. Was it just like the emotion of knowing they had no respect, or was this, how was it?
Well, they were probably treated.
Nobody fucked with him. Nobody, I remember this dude. Let me tell you the story. So this dude was from Detroit, right? And Detroit had a big car at Morgantown. Detroit had a big car. DC had a big car. Pittsburgh had Ohio and Pittsburgh had a big car. Ohio had a big car. Those were like the biggest groups of dudes. When I say car, that means people from that one area. They had more of anybody, right? So this dude is in there from Detroit, and when I get there, he all in the car room. He moving around. He talking. You know, he moving around. He doing his thing. Everybody's chilling with him, right? Mm-hmm. You know, he's in the car. He's doing everything. He's walking the compound. So one day, they call him to go back to court, right? And that is a awful sign when you're in prison and you get called by the lieutenant's office to go to R&D and you get shipped back and you go to court. Because the only reason you going back to court is to testify against somebody else.
Right.
Because there's no reason for you to go back to court because you got your sentence. What the fuck is you going back to court for? So they call this dude to go back to court. He dips. But before he left, this other dude from Detroit, big dude, stepped to him and was like, yo, what you going back to court for? You know, question him. And he like, oh man, something come up with, what did he say? I'm going back for my 2-point reduction, you know, for the Obamas giving 2-point reduction to law. I said, some shit he said. So my man, before he left, had already stepped to him. So he left, went back to court, and I guess he thought that after he went to court and did what he did, testify against whoever, that they was going to ship him to another joint. They shipped his ass right back to Morgantown. And as soon as that nigga hit the, and they sent him right back to our unit.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Soon as he walked in the door, you could just see it.
Yep.
His body language was all fucked up. And the dude that had stepped to him before he left went straight to him and hemmed him up in the hallway there and said, yo, nigga, what is you, where the paperwork at? Where you know, and my man was like, yeah, I got to get it. They got to send it to me. But after that, he wasn't in the car room more. He didn't go in the car room. He didn't walk the compound. He didn't come out and watch TV. Because in the TV room, everybody's got a seat, a certain space, and you got to sit in that space every night. That's your space. Can't nobody put their chair in your space. If they do, that's a fight. If somebody sit in your chair, that's a fight. My man wasn't in the TV room no more, and he just was. He was different, man. And when we all saw that, because gossip is crazy in prison, nobody fucked with him no more. And even the Detroit dudes that lived in Bates and Alex, the other dorms, the other units, when he would walk the compound, you could just see it on him. He was done. And that's why it's important, because you know you don't want to be that. Right. Now at Morgantown, they didn't stab him or beat him up or nothing like that. But in them higher security prisons, he wouldn't have, I don't know what would have happened to him.
If you're in Fort
They don't play that. They don't play that.
If you're like in a place like Leavenworth, that paperwork is everything.
The Leavenworth USP, not the Leavenworth camp, because Leavenworth got a camp.
Right. No. USP. Your paperwork is everything.
You ain't gonna make it.
Right.
You ain't gonna make it.
Yeah.
So on the surface, people say, well, 18 months, not the end of the world. That's not too bad. But a year and a half is a long time.
Yeah.
Right. People don't.
It's a long motherfucking time. Go sit in the county, go sit in the city jail from Friday to Monday.
Right.
Go
Yeah.
get arrested
I'm
Friday.
not sitting in no LA County jail.
Right. Get
I'm not sitting in LA County jail for not even.
Right. Get arrested on Friday
Yeah,
and
no.
wait to see the judge on Monday and tell me how long that is.
Yeah. So tell us, so how'd you do that time? How did you get through that? And a part of that, I'm sure, leads up to kind of who you are today.
Right.
Right. So you get in, you're checked in, you're given your cell assignments, right? And now you got to start this year and a half. How do you do it?
I stopped blaming. The first thing I did when I first got busted, I blamed everybody for doing that to me.
Right.
Which is the punk move, which is the sucker move. But when I got in there, I had to blame myself that I was there because of what I did, right? So I had to take accountability. And once I took responsibility and accountability, and then I forgot about the money, the $1.2 million fortune that I lost, the 9 houses that I lost, the $400,000 a year income.
Yeah.
When I forgot about all of that and let that go, my life changed. And then I began to examine myself. And I began to look at myself as a 45-year-old man sitting in federal prison. And I said, Sean, something is wrong with you, man. You understand? You got a son out there, you're not there to protect him, and you sitting in motherfucking federal prison at 45. Nigga, something is wrong with you. And I began to examine myself and make a concerted effort to change who I was. And I studied myself mostly the 15 months, 15 days, and 19 hours I was in there, and got in the best physical shape of my life, the best spiritual shape of my life, the best mental shape of my life. And I knew that when I got out of there, I was going to make a comeback.
So let's fast forward to that. So what do? You get out, and I'm guessing you've got no money, no place to go, because often that happens. Your release day is supposed to be like one of the happiest moments, but
Like,
the reality sets in.
Exactly.
Right. Where do you go now? And who do you rely on? And a lot of people that had your back may not have it anymore. Right. They distance themselves. So what do you do? Right. Where do you end up having to go and kind of, talk us through from that point now? Right. You get through the time, you do your time, and right. You finish at the 85%. Now what?
I get out, I got $1,900. I fly I catch the bus from Morgantown to Pittsburgh. I fly back from Pittsburgh to Newark, New Jersey. A lady friend I was dealing with at the time, she let me get signed out to her house. We had a romantic relationship going. And I went, as soon as I got to Jersey, I went to pick up little Sean. I went to pick up my son. And it was a blizzard. The next day I got out, I had to take my truck to Honda. That cost me $500 to get it fixed. Now I'm down to $1,400, and I'm living in this girl's basement with my son. I'm homeless. And I started losing weight and shit. I'm all stressed out. And then I started playing poker. I started going to the casino to play poker for a living. But that was too up and down, and the hours involved, and I had to take Sean to school in the morning, pick him up, and eventually around 2016. Now I'm journaling. I'm journaling, Eric, while I'm going through all this shit. I'm got a notebook. I'm writing everything down to like psychologically deal with what the fuck is going on in my life. I had $1 million net worth before I went in. Now I'm motherfucking flat busted, disgusted, and can't be trusted. And I'm writing. So I decided to start a window cleaning business in 2016. And I had a lady friend of mine. She got me this apartment. I couldn't get a lease. I couldn't get no apartment. I couldn't get a job. I tried to get a job at Wendy's. They wouldn't hire me. I tried to get a job at Gold's Gym. They wouldn't hire me. I had a dude I knew, a Jewish dude that had a private equity firm in Manhattan that me and him had worked together in the corporate world doing deals. And I called him to try to get him. I said, yo, let me come and work, man. I said, you ain't even got to pay me, man. Just let me, I'll just fucking go get y'all coffee and empty the garbage. You ain't even got to pay me. Just let me come.
Right.
And he wouldn't do it. And I understand, because I probably wouldn't have did it either for a motherfucker coming out of prison. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have probably did it either.
Right.
So I started this window cleaning business. And then from there, my first window I did was a $3 window. And in about a year's time, I had built it up to where I had 8 Taco Bells, 5 Domino's pizzas, a Burger King, all kind of restaurants. And I was able to take care of me and my son with that window cleaning business. And I started filming myself cleaning windows and uploading it to my YouTube channel.
Right.
And that took off. Right. And I called myself the Window Cleaner with Soul.
There you go. Yeah.
And then I started doing my federal prison calisthenics workouts. All the workouts we did in the joint, I would go to the parks and do them and upload those to YouTube, and my channel blew up. And then that's all I've been doing ever since, just YouTube, Instagram, and I got a line of clothing. I got hoodies, shirts. I wrote 3 books, self-published them. From the journal that I was writing when I got out, I published that shit as is.
No,
And
it is. It is.
Let me tell you, what's amazing to me, to be frank, is so listen. You're talking about somebody with a well-educated but with a finance background.
Yeah.
Right. They don't teach branding.
Right. Yeah.
Marketing, and when you're studying to be a CPA, but the fact that, Sean, you understood, like, so whatever it is, XXX with Soul, podcast with Soul, the author with Soul, that's a brand, right? And that's being built, and it's organic, and it was instinctual.
And it was at a time where YouTube wasn't that big, or like people were not always popping off on YouTube or social media.
Right.
Now anyone can.
And there's too much content.
Yeah,
but
it's like before, and it's like, you built this for yourself.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And I was 47 years old.
What really to me has stood out about this whole story is, in the beginning, you talked about how you had your drug addiction, your drinking addiction, and you got sober, and you've been through so much since then. And at no point did you go back to that. And I think that was also amazing, because it's one of those stories where you would have thought it would have been easier for him to, drown in that.
Relapses would have been very common.
It would have been very common, and you didn't. And I think you're strong for that.
Yeah, no, and I understood a lot of, just again, from my own background, the idea of taking an inventory, surrendering to the situation you're in, rather than laying blame. Yeah. Right? You kind of have to accept where you are, what role you played in it, surrender to whatever you want to call your higher power. It doesn't, like, the idea that it's God, that's an interchangeable term. Yeah. That a lot of people don't understand. It's not about the religious aspect. It's a spiritual.
Nothing to do with it.
Right. It's a spiritual acceptance of understanding that there's something greater than yourself that you can rely on, or you can look to. Right. And it's a way of thinking. It's literally learning how to live your life differently. Yes. Under different rules. Yeah. And it's not nearly close to the same thing, but by analogy, believe it or not, that's what law school teaches you. Right. Law school doesn't teach you the law. It teaches you how to think. Like, in a different way. Right. Right. And whether it's a problem solving, or you peel back layers of, like, the onion to get to the root or the cause, but that's a lot of the same sort of thing. Exactly. Like, you're retraining your mind and your focus. Yeah. So to be able to do that without that kind of formal background, and to kind of recognize, right, that you can build a brand and build a business, and you need, elbow grease and some hustle. Yeah. But the idea, again, like I was saying in the beginning, every phone call returned immediately, every text, every email, that's a lost, I'll call it an art in a sense. That's a lost art in business.
Thank you, Eric.
No, I'm saying honest, straight up. I'm 52, so I was born in 1972, so we're not far apart. Like, we're, the eras in which we were raised. That's an older school mentality, but you know what? We could use a little of that. Right. Like, I don't have to, like, type every little 3, letter acronyms all day on,
Right.
you know, sometimes just a direct phone call gets more done.
Yeah, yeah.
So Sean, do me a favor, as we kind of wrap up, even though we don't have a giant audience, but tell them where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, plug your stuff, all of the stuff you have.
Anything you've got, because listen, as inspirational as this was for me, I can only imagine, even if 5 or 10 more people hear about this and read your books and hear your story, we're going to help other people. And that's especially about today. Look, we make a lot of fun of people that post their problems and we dissect them. But today, for real, this is truly meant to be inspirational. The theme is redemption. I want anybody that needs a story to latch onto the way I did. I want them to hear it. So Sean, tell us where we can find you.
Well, Eric, man, thank you, man. My YouTube channel is The Podcast with Soul. You can check me out there. My Instagram page is The Podcast with Soul. My Facebook page is my name, Sean Gunby. I've written 3 books. The title of the books are Astigmatism in My Soul. You can find them on my website, thepodcastwithsoul.bigcartel.com. I have a line of hoodies, a line of shorts, sweatpants, my books, shirts, and I want to thank everybody for listening, man. And just know, man, you can't never give up, man. I don't care how hard it get, man. You can't give up. And sometimes in life, you got to crash and burn first before you can get right.
That's so true. Everybody's got a bottom.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
They have to hit before they can really, like, the phoenix rising from the ashes, so to speak. But a lot of people are successful, but the ones that are the most successful are the ones that have been broke 10 times before.
Yeah.
Right.
And rebranded themselves and came back.
It's about the drive and the hustle and not giving up. That's what it comes down to. Lots of people, especially when you mention like playing poker, like pro poker. You know how many pro poker players I know that have been, broke 30 times?
Exactly.
But that's what they do. That's their passion, right?
Yeah.
So again, all the respect in the world to Sean, everything he's accomplished. It's an amazing story.
Yeah, it is.
I want to thank you for your time. I know, and I want to be as respectful of it as I can. I really appreciate you coming on. So with that, Sean, best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be in touch going forward.
And I will.
Eric, man, thanks for having me. Karina, thank you. Jennifer, thank you. And I cut you off, Karina. I'm sorry.
No. I was just saying I'm going to link all of your stuff as well in like the little bio when I put the episode out as well.
Thank you, guys, man, and all the best to you, Eric. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, you take care. Have a great one.
Thank you so much.
I might be out in LA too, man. I'm coming out. I might be out there. So if I come out, I'm gonna reach out to you, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we can even get you on the podcast again.
Right, you got it.
All right, let's do it. I'll see y'all later, man.
Right, take care. Happy New Year.
Peace. All right.
Just saying, I just really, to me, it's when I heard him the first time and I heard of some of the stuff, and it was just, to me, it was a very inspirational story.
It is. It's amazing.
It's incredibly inspirational. The way he hit rock bottom and just persisted and pounded the pavement and built something out of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, who'd have thought, right, at that age to start scrubbing windows?
Yeah.
Like a $3
He said $3 window.
I'm serious, yeah. And I mean but that's what I'm saying. These humble beginnings are, in my opinion, what some of the most successful people go through and that's how they get there.
Yeah, as long as you have drive.
Yeah, and when I say most successful, I don't mean not everybody's a Jeff Bezos, right?
No,
not everybody's
right,
a multi-billionaire, but you know what, it's not about the amount, it's about where you are able to land.
Exactly.
Right, and the path that you navigate to get there.
Exactly.
Right, and all the bumps in the road and the hurdles that you have to overcome to get to that point, right?
Exactly.
And you can tell he's not done building.
No.
Right. But he's certainly in a much better place. And so that was the whole point. We start this new year.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're gonna shit on lots of people over the next, 100 episodes or whatever. And we're gonna award tons of dingleberries and all the things we normally do. But just for today, for our first sort of post new, not the New Year's Day, like our first real episode of the new year, I just wanted to start off with something we can kind of smile on and hang our hat on. So
yeah, and if even one person is just inspired by a story, I feel like we've done enough.
Absolutely. So Hurricane.
Yes.
Tell them where they can find us.
All right, guys. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for listening. You can find us on Instagram at the Bensama Confirm and our podcast Instagram at the Late Podcast. You can visit our Twitter and TikTok at Bensama Confirm. You can visit our website at eblawfirm.us or you can email us at info@eblawfirm.us. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.